didn't have mirrors. Which, I mean, they fucking did, but whatever. They didn't have like Snapchat filters. So this was their...
They did not have that.
This is their version of Snapchat filters. Then the masks were displayed after one's death in the family's atrium as a sign of social and political prominence.
I mean, to be fair, this is before photography in general.
Oh, this is ancient Rome, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, there is no other way to immortalize what you looked like at
them.
Yeah.
It's like, hello, would you like some tea? Come and sit by the face of my dead grandmama and honor her. Thank you, dead grandmama.
I mean, we do that still. It's just photos.
Yeah, but it's not the freaking mask of their face.
No, it's not 3D.
It's not. It's not.
It's not 3D. I'll give you that.
Oh, my God. Have you seen the urns? Oh, my God. Speaking of 3D shit after death.
I'm terrified now.
There's apparently a company that will make you a 3D model of your deceased loved one's head that you can use as their urn. So literally having someone's bust of their head with their ashes inside of it.
I don't think I like this.
I hate it. I saw some of the pictures and they were horrifying. Because it's not like, a picture of the person on a urn-shaped urn. No, it's a fucking 3D printed model of their head that you are popping the top off and throwing some ashes in and keeping on your mantle.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like that. But if they wanted to adapt that to, like, pets, and I could have a 3D model of my cat with her ashes in it?
See, I just think there's some things that shouldn't be done.
It's not that different from taxidermy.
I think taxidermy is crazy as fuck. I mean, I don't understand why somebody goes on the side of the room and goes, hey, look, it's a badger. I'm going to pull out its guts and stuff it with sawdust for funsies. I mean, how many cases of rabies transmitted from a dead fucking animal to that person?
I don't know.
Still, I don't like taxidermy. It freaks me out.
Okay.
I've never liked someone getting a head of a deer mounted on the wall.
I don't like that. I agree with that.
I don't like a taxidermy fucking anything. In that movie Hope Floats, where her mom does these like fashion taxidermy cat bags. I'm like, oh god, that is not right.
I've never seen this.
Oh, you should see it. It's a good movie, but it's a little creepy. But yeah. Moving on.
Okay, we'll move on.
This usage was already established by the 2nd century BC and continued to be used into the 4th and perhaps as late as the 6th century AD.
Okay.
In the late Middle Ages, masks were not interred with the deceased. Instead, they were used in funeral ceremonies and were later kept in libraries, museums, and universities. Death masks were not only taken of deceased royalty and nobility, but also of eminent persons like composers, dramaturgs, military, political leaders, philosophers, poets, scientists.
So, like Sir Isaac Newton, or maybe Beethoven, or William Shakespeare. Okay, tell me who for real then. I'll stop guessing.
So, Dante Alighieri.
Okay. So then, like Dante's Inferno? Okay.
However, the authenticity of his death mask is actually debated.
Fair enough.
Because they believe it was actually carved later from marble and not actually from his actual death mask.
Okay. The Dan Brown books.
Inferno, yeah. They said that it was Dante's death mask, and they wrote something on the back. I was wondering if...
Okay. However, that was the one that was in the books.
Yes.
Okay.
But also, they did make a replica that's been on display since 1907. That's the one they are like, we don't think that's his real death mask. But then, thanks to science, they have made, I think it was 2007, they used 3D printing technology and, like, based off of the effigies and pictures, depictions of him, they made a pretty realistic, not really death mask because this dude's been dead for
a bust.
Yes, of what he may have actually appeared to look like. So the actual death mask of Dante is kind of in question.
With sketch,
but they do have other ones. So we've got Ludwig von Beethoven.
Hey,
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Okay,
his death mask was taken on the island of St. Helena. So when he was exiled, they took a death mask before he was reburied. I think he's buried. Originally, he wasn't buried in France, and then eventually they're like, oh, okay, he's dead. We can probably forgive him and bury him here. I don't remember enough. I should have done that.
Apparently, I don't know enough about Napoleon, other than he was, like, the king of little man syndrome.
Except for he was of average height. So that was, like,
interesting,
kind of a slanderous...
I always thought he was short.
No, he was of average height of the time. Now, he would be considered shorter because as times have gone on, we've gotten taller as a species.
Sure.
But at the time, he was considered average height.
Huh.
So it was one of those things, kind of like Caligula, where bad press is following him. So it's like, you know, you have the whole Napoleon complex and this, that, and the other thing. Dude was just average height. So he wasn't a little man syndrome.
The historical shit talkers were everywhere.
The historical shit talkers were everywhere. Filippo Brunelleschi. I'm probably not saying this right. Frédéric Chopin. So the composer.
Was he a composer? Chopin. Okay, yeah.
Oliver Cromwell, whose death mask is preserved at Warwick Castle, which, rude. Oliver Cromwell was, I can't remember what his actual position was, but King Henry, he was part of his government, parliament, something, whatever. He was, like, super tight when King Henry brought in the whole, like, Church of England because he couldn't get divorced and blah, 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 whatever. And then he turned on him because he turns on fucking everyone.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm like, rude. Kill the dude and then pour some wax on his face so we don't forget what he looked like. In case what? I don't know. You want to like make him into a dartboard? I don't know. I find it rude.
Why would he bother?
Let's see. Joseph Haydn. So Haydn, the composer.
Okay.
John Keats. Poet. What the fuck? Poet.
Poet.
Franz Liszt. Blaise Pascal, Nikola Tesla, which was commissioned by his friend Hugo Gernsback and now is displayed in the Nikola Tesla Museum, although I'm sure Edison is somewhere claiming it is his.
Oh, right. So this was still pretty modern then, because Nikola Tesla is not ancient history.
No. Now these were, again, not for the funeral, like burying with them.
Right, but they still did it.
No, they're still doing it, and they've done it up until the early 1900s. We'll get to that. No, just previously, like during Roman times, they were usually buried with them at the end. And then they stopped burying with them in Roman times and started keeping them as effigies. And then here we are continuing going, this was an extremely important person to history. We should pour wax on their face and take a mold because of reasons I find strange. Can you imagine just one dude with like a molten pile of wax going in and out of morgue rooms? Like, hey, what are we doing in here? Pouring it over grandma? Okay, let's go. And I have problems with a lot of this. I've got two more names. Torquato Tasso and Voltaire.
Voltaire, okay.
Yeah. As an ancient Rome, death masks were often subsequently used in making a marble, sculpture portrait, busts, or engravings of the deceased. Also one of those, instead of tracing the picture, pouring goo on the head, on the dead guy, and then going from there.
I don't know what my face keeps doing. It's not good. I can feel that.
I did attach a couple pictures, so you can see. Here's the death mask of Napoleon.
Oh, that's not as bad as I expected.
No.
That's actually not as creepy as I thought.
This is the supposed mask of Dante.
Okay.
That's the one that's contested. This is a bust of King Henry VIII created from his death mask. So this was used as a template for his portrait.
None of those are as creepy as I expected. No, that's okay.
In Russia, the death mask tradition dates back to the times of Peter the Great, whose death mask was taken by Carlo Borromeo Rastrelli. I'm not Russian, I'm sorry. As well known are the death masks of Nicholas I, Alexander I, and Stalin's death mask.
Wow, again, pretty modern.
Is on display at the Stalin Museum in Gori, Georgia, which has to be behind glass to prevent people from like directly spitting on his face.
Not a popular person, just saying.
No. One of the first real Ukrainian death masks was one of the poet Taras Shevchenko. Again, I'm not Ukrainian. Taken by Peter Klot von Gusenberg in St. Petersburg, Russia.
Gusenberg.
Yes.
I feel like we've said that word before.
Jurgensburg. It might be Jurgensburg.
Whoa.
Might be Jurgensburg. Either way, I've said his name horribly, and I'm sure he's somewhere pissed at me.
Could be Jurgensburg.
Could be. In the spring of 1860, and shortly before his death in April 1865, 2 life masks were created of President Abraham Lincoln.
Oh.
I had thought they had done a death mask. No, they had done 2 life masks.
Why do you need 2?
I don't fucking know. And my thought is that had to be seriously unpleasant, because what the fuck did they use back then?
Yeah.
Like, how could he breathe? And did they not rip off his eyebrows and his mustache on the way there? Because
I don't know. Maybe they waxed those down before they put the other stuff on.
It bothers me.
Maybe they need 2 because he aged a lot in between. Maybe they were
it's possible. Or like, okay, we're gonna do one with the beard. Yank.
Oh god.
Oh shit. Now we'll do another one now that you don't have a beard and you're not bleeding anymore. Sorry, Mr. President.
I doubt that's it, but it's
possible.
I can't prove you wrong.
In science,
okay,
death masks were increasingly used by scientists from the late 18th century onwards to record variations in human physiognomy. So, just variations in different faces.
Okay.
The life mask was also increasingly common at this time, taken from living persons. Anthropologists use such masks to study physiognomic features in famous people and in notorious criminals.
There's one in, I've been trying to remember, I can't. There's one down in the Alcatraz Museum in Gatlinburg, and I can't remember which gangster it is.
Is it Machine Gun Kelly?
Might be. I don't remember. It's been driving me crazy this whole episode, but I haven't said anything because I didn't have a good answer.
But yeah, they've done that. And so I'm thinking it's back to the fake science chronology where maybe the shape of the dude's head is why he's such a fuckface.
Could be.
As far as the criminals are concerned. Now we're moving from science into forensic science.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a picture you can see right here, and I'm not going to say it right because I am not French.
Okay.
So before the widespread availability of photography, the facial features of unidentified bodies were sometimes preserved, creating the death mask so that relatives of their deceased could recognize it if they were seeking a missing person. As we mentioned before, the creepy face room, open the drawer, is this your son? No. Okay, how about drawer number 2? Is this your son? Okay.
It's John Dillinger.
John Dillinger.
I looked it up.
That makes a lot more sense.
Sorry. Yes. Creepy death mask room.
Okay, so one mask is, I should have asked my mother how to pronounce this. Le Connu de la Sienne is recorded the face of an unidentified girl who was around the age of 16. According to one man's story, had been found drowned in the Seine River in Paris, France in the late 1800s. I think I said late teen, in the late 1800s. So this is where it gets kind of creepy.
Okay. Now it gets creepy?
Well, this is where I find it a little more unnerving.
All right.
Because this is an unknown, she was never identified, young girl believed to have committed suicide by throwing herself into the river.
Okay.
But no way to prove that. Maybe she fell. Don't know. So
maybe she was serial killed.
Well, I don't know. Did they serial kill by pushing people into the river?
They can't catch them.
Go, bitch! I don't know. But maybe she was. Either way, this woman was found drowned.
Okay.
I think they believed it was suicide because this was somewhat common at this area.
Ah, okay.
I believe that is why they believed it was suicide, but again, no one can confirm because they never identified her to find out, did she have a suicidal ideation, what the problem was. Back to the I don't really like this. A morgue worker made a cast of her face, saying, her beauty was breathtaking and showed few signs of distress at the time of passing, so bewitching that I knew beauty such as this must be preserved. Get that guy out of the morgue right now. He does not need to be in there.
Oh, he's there for a reason.
No, get his ass out of the morgue.
That was
Do
creepy.
not allow him to be around dead bodies ever again.
Just saying.
Then it gets kind of...
That was creepy.
A little weird.
Worse. All right.
Okay, less like pervy morgue worker that needs to get pushed out immediately. And more of a, well, now that we have it.
Okay.
The cast was also fashionable. Oh, I'm sorry. The cast was also compared to the Mona Lisa and other famous paintings and sculptures. Copies of the mask were fashionable in Parisian Bohemian society.
What?
Yeah, and the face of Resusciani. I'm probably not saying that right, but it stands for resuscitation. Because the world's first CPR training mannequin, introduced in 1960, was modeled after the mask.
I don't like that.
Yeah. So this poor girl is cursed to have millions of strangers pinching her nose and blowing into her mouth for an eternity because